Yes.
Thank you. So I've entitled my session Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast. And you might be wondering why I'm saying that. That is a phrase I first came across 20 more years ago when doing an MBA. But I more recently was reminded of it when we, as the Leprosy Mission Scotland, were doing a major investment and development in our fundraising, and our consultant Alan Clayton reminded us of Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast. And I'll go on to expand what I mean by that in the short period I have. But culture is so important in every part of our work, whether that's growth, performance, execution, innovation, or change. And I should have said that was Peter Drucker. So if you like to liken the organisation you work in, the office you work in, the part of the organisation you work in, as to an iceberg, that the iceberg, we tend to think about things in the top third of the iceberg, the important things like structures, shared values, strategy, vision. It's the way, it's our goals, it's our policies, it's the way we say we get things done. But actually, the way we say we get things done is not always the way we actually do it. And the bottom 2/3 of the iceberg are possibly amongst the more important. And that is things like, that is the way we really get things done. And that is things like the feelings of our colleagues, the unwritten rules. Are you allowed to, are you encouraged to make constructive criticisms? Are you encouraged and allowed and empowered to challenge decisions, to challenge, to speak up in discussions? Or do we, that's not the way we do things here. We normally do it this way. And do we actually live out our values, or are they just a nice poster on the office wall? Are they a part of our strategy? Do we actually live out our values or perceptions? Sometimes a country leader or a department head, or you as the HR manager, may perceive or may think that you have an open door policy, but it could be that people perceive you don't actually want them to come to you because you're always so busy. So they perceive you to be too busy to actually come to them. And so, or they believe that, the same example, you don't actually want. And do our procedures actually help our structures, etc.? So moving on, company culture is all about the work environment. It's about our mission statement. We all know our mission statement in the Leprosy Mission, that they have life and life in all its fullness. We know what our vision is: zero transmission, zero disability, zero discrimination. We know what our values are. We know what our goals are. It's all very clearly laid out in all our strategies. We know our expectations. We know what our KPIs are, and these KPIs are measured annually. And we know what our ethics are. We have an ethical image policy, for example. And companies that are strong on culture do better. They retain their staff. They have higher profits. In our case, it would be higher income for fundraising. They have less employee turnover. They have less employee absenteeism. They are safer. There are fewer accidents. They have higher productivity and higher customer rating. And so in our hospitals and our projects, that would be higher feedback from the people we serve. So 6 ways to build up a strong company culture is to be on brand. Is our workplaces reflecting the care we give to people affected by leprosy? Are our practices and our mission do they reflect our practice and mission? I have a strong philosophy or feeling that, for example, the NHS, the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, will never truly be a great service until it learns to care for its own staff. So transferring that to the leprosy mission, we will never truly care for people affected by leprosy until we truly care for our staff and for one another, the people that are closest to us. So do we, for example, our office got very tired, it was well overdue redevelopment, refurbishment, and the international office would be another example. But money wasn't spent on that because it was more important to spend it in the projects, and that is absolutely right. But when we did redevelop it, when it's a much nicer place to work, it's a much nicer place to be. People enjoy coming to the office. You're proud to invite people to come and meet with you in the office. It makes such a difference to everywhere else, every other aspect of your work. Being transparent, we need to share success, we need to share failures, we need to share the organisational changes with our team. And you may be sitting thinking, well, that's okay if you're a country leader, that's okay for Linda to say she's a country leader. But I believe in 360-degree leadership, which John Maxwell, the well-known Christian leadership coach and author, he has a book about 360-degree leadership, that you lead up the way, you lead across the way to your peers, and you lead down the way to the people who report to you. So we all have the ability to lead in a 360-degree manner, to influence what goes around about us. We need to prioritise the well-being of the staff, their mental, their physical, and then the fact that the poll showed that we've mostly been working on the safety of our staff backs that up, our employee survey backs that up. So that has to be a priority, that we prioritise the well-being of our staff, that we reward them, and that reward, says here, sincere recognition for good work. Reward is not only money, it could be employee. You could have, if you have a large number of staff, you could have an employee of the month or employee of the year, in different categories of that. You can just praise people for doing a job well done and praise them in public so that people feel valued, but not praise them when that leads me to embracing constructive feedback, that you gracefully give and receive corrective feedback. We all need feedback, and that comes back to the leaders taking feedback also, that they are able to listen to what people are saying, that you as the HR manager are able to speak to your country leader and to encourage them to make changes where appropriate. And the last one here is to support employee growth, which is all about learning and development, and that every member of staff should have a development plan, and resources should be appropriately set aside for this. Just want two things to finish, is to recommend this book. The Fearless Organisation talks about the psychological safety of a workplace for workplace learning, innovation and growth. And the book is very good, but Amy Edmondson is also a Global Leadership Summit speaker, so you can listen to her on the videos of the Global Leadership Summit. So I highly recommend that. But just to finish, one of the things I was asked to do was to say how we are doing this, or how I'm doing this in Scotland. And I would say it's a journey we've been on, but recently at the end of March, we had our assessment for investors and people, and TLM Scotland is platinum on Investors and People, which is the highest standard. And just to read some of the comments from our report. During my discussions with people, I learned how everyone has at least one key performance indicator linked to the 4 strategic aims of the organisation. Objectives are agreed at the start of the year with the CEO and monitored thereafter, usually at one-to-ones and quarterly reviews. Your strategic aims are closely aligned to the aims and objectives of the Global Fellowship, so on. So we're practicing what I've just been talking about. The people I spoke with were effusive in their praise for the way they are supported to deliver their objectives by the CEO. People described how they have an open and honest relationship with the CEO who inspires them to deliver on their objectives. If progress is falling behind the approach, if progress is falling behind, the approach is one of help and support rather than criticism and negativity. And it says, overall, people have great confidence in the leadership within the Leprosy Mission Scotland and take great care and pride in delivering their objectives in order to achieve your strategic goals. And then just one more, in summary, everyone I met with is aware of the future direction of the Leprosy Mission in Scotland and know the part they play in ensuring the organisation has a positive impact on raising awareness and tackling leprosy, both here in Scotland and across the world. So it is possible to develop a culture in which everything I've just discussed, but it has taken a good few years for us in Scotland to get to where we are. It hasn't happened overnight. It hasn't even happened in a couple of years. It's been a journey, but it's been a journey that is well worth taking. And I know it's perhaps easier to talk about this in Scotland because we're small, we're a small team, we're agile, but it is well worth the journey and well worth participating in. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Linda, for sharing.